Hey Argos fans, Alex Franceschi here with you again for the Argos Admirals, and today we're going to preview your Toronto Argonauts' upcoming matchup against the visiting Edmonton Eskimos on Monday night at Rogers Centre. Now, let's get right into it. Last week, big victory for the Argonauts in Calgary against the Stampeders. Ricky Ray in the offense finally seemed to find some sort of rhythm and some sort of groove. Chad Kacker, first week as a starting tailback, amassed over 100 total yards of offense. Ricky Ray throwing for over 300 yards and a touchdown. It was all systems go for the Argonauts last week in their victory, and the best part was the play of their defense and their special teams. Unreal play by the defensive side of the football. Robert McCoon, 7 tackles, currently leads the Argonauts with 37. He has been spectacular so far this season. Jordan Younger recording his 3rd interception of the season, tying him for first again with Edmonton cornerback Joe Burnett. This is an unbelievable defense this year, where this was the one question mark that many people thought was going to hurt the Argonauts throughout this season. However, they've just been absolutely off the wall spectacular, as I said. Now, special teams. They held Larry Taylor to just over 60 yards in total returns. That is absolutely phenomenal, considering what Larry Taylor did against them in Week 2. Swayze Waters, 5 for 5 in field goals on the night. He was great as usual. And now we're going to turn our attention to this week and the visiting Edmonton Eskimos, where Cory Boyd comes to town less than 2 weeks after being released by the Argonauts and being named and signing immediately with the Edmonton Eskimos. Cory Boyd played last week, had only 2 touches in total, but this week it's assumed that he's going to have a much bigger workload against his former football team, and he certainly has a chip on his shoulder and has a lot to prove against the Argonauts that cut him for certain reasons, such as he can't block, he's not a good fit for the offense, and they don't really need a bruising type of back like Cory Boyd. Now, we're going to look at the Edmonton defense that has been absolutely incredible all season long so far, and in Week 1 against the Argonauts, they proved that they can really be one of the best defenses in the league. J.C. Sherritt, starting middle linebacker, absolutely phenomenal. Currently leads the league in tackles with 58. Had 11 tackles in Week 1 alone and a forced fumble against the Argonauts. He was a big difference maker in that ball game, and a difference maker and had a huge factor in the ball game was the penalties in that Week 1 matchup. 16 penalties for over 110 yards given up by the Argonauts. That's quite a bit, but this week, coming into this week, they've really cut down on that over the course of the season, and they look like they're finally very disciplined. They look like they're a good football team, and it looks like they want to make a statement in this football game, especially against their former tailback, Cory Boyd. Now, the Edmonton Eskimos, they have a 2-headed monster attack at running back, like I just said. One guy, Cory Boyd, and now the second guy, Hugh Charles. He has been absolutely phenomenal for them. They rank currently 3 and 4 in the CFL in rushing. Hugh Charles in Week 1 had 12 carries for 43 yards and a touchdown against the Argonauts defense, and it's going to be tough for the Argonauts defense to slow down that running attack. However, they do have the advantage of having a great linebacking core, which consists of the likes of Robert McCoon, as we already talked about, E.J. Kowali, Jason Ponders, hopefully to be back very soon, and hopefully maybe even this game against the Eskimos. Brandon Isaac, good cornerback that has been great at tackling. They have such a great defensive core that can just be physical with running backs. We saw last week John Cornish was very physical. They were playing very physical against John Cornish. They did a lot of good things against Nick Lewis. This defense likes to play fast, they like to play hard, and they like to play physical. All good formula for success against a tough team with a good running game, such as the Edmonton Eskimos. Now let's talk about Stephen Giles. Yes, Stephen Giles. He is returning to Toronto for the first time since being traded to the Eskimos in that Ricky Ray deal in December. He's certainly going to have a chip on his shoulder as well, so we could expect maybe some big performances from the former Argonauts, Cory Boyd and Stephen Giles. However, the Argonauts defense is going to try not to do that. In Week 1, Giles did not have a major factor in the ball game against the Argonauts. However, he did a good job of managing the game, playing very sound and good possession football for the Eskimos, and led them to a 19-15 victory, and has been pretty decent so far this season. Hasn't posted outstanding numbers, but he has 5 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions. He's been pretty good, to say the least. Now, let's turn our attention over to a specific player on the Argonauts, and we already touched on him a little bit, but that's Chad Kacker. he certainly must have a chip on his shoulder as well heading into this game. He wants to prove that the Argonauts made the right decision to cut Cory Boyd and make him the starting running back for this football team. He had, like we said already, he had a phenomenal game last week in his debut, in his season debut. And he's already proven that he can be a good addition to this offense. And it looks like he's found a comfort zone with Ricky Ray and a comfort zone in the offense. Andre Dury had only 2 catches last week, but one was a big one. He had a touchdown grab, which was incredible in the end zone. He did a great job of just finding an opening in between the defense and in between coverage, made the catch, recorded the touchdown, his first of the season. Chad Owens did a great job again. Had close to 90 yards receiving last week. He continues to climb up. He's currently ranked, I believe it's 4th or 5th in the CFL in receiving. So he's done a great job so far this season for the Argonauts, providing Ricky Ray with a solid target. One of the guys that has continued to really not produce as much as the Argonauts want to is Jason Barnes. He had one big game, sort of, against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, where he had the winning touchdown, which was his first and only of the touchdown reception of the season so far. But he could be a big factor in this ballgame. He's familiar with the Edmonton defense. He knows what they bring to the table. And I wouldn't be surprised if Ricky Ray looks his way in this ballgame and tries to hit him over the top or tries to utilize him a lot more than he has so far this season. Now, finally, we're going to take a look at what Cory Boyd did as an Argonaut and how he can bring that to the Edmonton Eskimos and have a big game on Monday night. Well, he's got a good bruising style, and when you have 2 backs like Hugh Charles and Cory Boyd, that can really change pace because Hugh Charles is a very fast, speedy, quick back, whereas Cory Boyd is a much more physical, hard-nosed, grinding it out type of back, those few extra yards. He does all that type of stuff. When you have a 2-headed monster like that, it's really tough to stop because the Argonauts are going to have to deal with the speed and quickness of Hugh Charles, and then they're going to have to turn around and on 2nd and shorts or 1st and shorts or any of those situations have to deal with the bruising type of style of Cory Boyd. Now, we don't know how many carries Boyd will get, how many carries Hugh Charles will get, but we will certainly know that they are going to have a factor in the ball game. As we said, Stephen Giles, he's not a big play quarterback. He just likes to be conservative. He likes to toss underneath balls. But when you have running backs like Cory Boyd and Hugh Charles, the Argonauts are really going to have to be careful with what they look at in that football game. It's certainly going to be a huge matchup. The Edmonton Eskimos coming off a loss last week at the hands of the Montreal Alouettes, and Anthony Calvillo having a huge game in that one. So maybe another huge game for Ricky Ray is out in possibility for this week. But we'll have to see. It looks like it's going to be a great matchup, a lot of intensity, a lot of energy, a lot going into this ball game. There's a lot of attitudes going on the line here. We'll see what happens. It's going to be a great ball game. Like I said, Monday night, Rogers Center, 7:30. Make sure you're there. We also have a huge announcement. For the first time this season, the Argos Admirals, all the Argos Admirals, so that'll be about 30 of us in total, will be hunting and taking over the Rogers Center. That's right, we will be taking over the Rogers Center on Monday night, so you guys can find us. We don't know where we will be sitting exactly yet, but however, we will all be there in the same section, and we'll be giving away some prizes. So come by, and make sure you come by and find us and see us and chat with us during the game. Also, make sure you chat with us on Twitter, Facebook. Obviously, you can post your videos, send us your videos on YouTube from the game, anything like that. It would be great. We would love to have your fan reactions of how this heading into this matchup, or even afterwards, or even at the game. If you decide to shoot some videos of some great things happening at the ball game, we'd appreciate it. You can send it in to us. We put it up on the site, and that's it for this time, Argos fans. Hope you enjoy the game, and we will see you there on Monday night.